Hi, scholars. My name is Ms. Edwards, and I will be reading a book to you today called Frogs by Elizabeth Carney. This book is a non-fiction book, which means that this book is going to give us information or real facts on a topic, which is frogs. Good readers think about what they already know about a topic before they actually begin to read. So I'm going to give you a moment to think about something that you already know about frogs. I know that frogs live near water. Do we have the same knowledge? Did you know something else? Make sure as we read, you think about things that you are learning that are new or things that you already knew that you can confirm are correct. So let's go ahead and dive into our reading of the book Frogs. Splash. Splish splash, what is that sound? What is hopping and jumping around? What loves to swim? What loves to eat bugs? It's a frog. Can you hop like a frog? Frogs live all over the world, except Antarctica. Frogs usually live in wet places. They like rivers, lakes, and ponds. But some frogs live in trees. Some even live in the desert. Frogs can be found all over the world. Wherever they live, that's their habitat. Can you say the word habitat? I noticed that the author has put a sidebar here. A sidebar is a piece of information that the author wants to point out to you. So let's see what we learn from this sidebar. Habitat, the natural place where an animal, I'm sorry, the natural place where a plant or animal lives. So the author wants us to know the word habitat. It looks like the photograph shows us different habitats that frogs have. So I'm going to take a moment to look at the photographs. Here's the red-eyed tree frog in a tree. How did I know this particular frog was a red-eyed tree frog? Because I looked at the label. The label is something that the author puts to help us identify what we're looking at. Here I see this frog in the photograph here is called a bullfrog. And I can see here, this is where the frog is living in the desert. Let's keep going. Croak. I noticed that there is a heading at the top of the page. The heading helps us to know what we are going to read about. I know that the word croak is a sound. So I'm thinking that this section will be about sounds that frogs make. Let's see if we're correct. Look at this frog croaking. Some frogs' throats puff up when they make sounds. Each type of frog makes its own sound. So I'll use the label here. This is a lake frog. Ooh, look at that puffing out. Interesting. And here's the coqui frog here. The coqui frog is named after the sound it makes. It sounds like coqui. This frog is the size of a quarter. Oh my goodness, that's really small. Even small frogs can make loud noises. Here's another sidebar. Let's read it. Croak. Can you say the word croak? The deep, hoarse noise that a frog makes. So I know that croak is a sound. Excellent. Frogs make different sounds for different reasons. Sometimes it's to warn other frogs of danger. Sometimes it's to call to frogs nearby. Looking at the label, this frog is called a dancing frog. This frog lives around noisy waterfalls. Other frogs would not be able to hear its call, so it dances instead. It sticks out one leg and then the other. Can you dance like this frog? So I learned some new information here. Did you learn something new about frogs? Think about what you learned. When we talk about what we learned, it's okay to go back into the text to recall this information. So I'm going to go back into the text and say, I learned that there's a frog called a dancing frog, and it communicates through dancing. Did you learn something? Let's keep reading. Frog food. So let's pause for a moment. We know that the heading tells us what a section will be about. What do you think we're going to learn about in this section? I'm going to think about that heading, frog food. You got that right. Frog food is the heading, so we're probably going to learn about things that frogs eat. Let's see if we can find that information. What is a frog's favorite food? Usually it's insects. Frogs eat dragonflies and crickets and other bugs. Some frogs eat bigger animals like worms and mice. The American bullfrog frog even eats other frogs. Wow, I didn't know that. Lots of new information here. What's that pink flash? It's how a frog catches bugs. It shoots out its long, sticky tongue at a passing bug. The frog pulls the bug into its mouth. I believe that the writer put this ruler in the picture to show us just how long a frog can stick out its tongue to catch a bug. That looks about 6 inches long. That's a long way to catch food. If your tongue were as long as a frog's, it would reach to your belly button. Oh my. And I'll use the label to look here. This frog is called a green tree frog. Every size and color. That's the heading. So I want you to take a moment to think about what this section of the book will be about. If you said that this is probably going to be about the different sizes a frog could be and the different colors that a frog could be, you're right. Remember, headings tell us what each section will be about. Let's take a read and find out about the size and color of frogs. Frogs can be many different sizes. The smallest frog is as big as a fingernail. Oh, the largest is as big as a rabbit. This is called the Goliath frog. And I noticed from the photograph that this is a really big frog. Good readers use the photographs to gain more information about their topic. Frogs can be different colors too. Some are green and brown, like the tiger striped leaf frog. And I got that from looking at the label. Frogs can be red, yellow, or orange, like the red poison dart frog. Others have stripes or spots. They can even be bright blue. Watch out! These colorful frogs may look pretty, but watch out. These frogs have poison in their skin. Their bright color warns enemies not to eat them. Let's take a look at the sidebar to find out what the word poison means. Something that can kill or hurt living things. So let's go back. These frogs have poison in their skin. So something in the poison dart frog skin hurts other living things. Why might a frog want to hurt or kill other living things? What do you think? I agree. Some frogs may want to hurt or kill other living things if that other living thing is trying to harm them. So, like things that would be predators to frogs, it will want to hurt them to protect themselves so it can survive. This little frog is only an inch long. Its name is Terribilis, which means the terrible one. How did it get this name? By being the most deadly frog of all. One Terribilis has enough poison to kill 20,000 mice. So we already know that poison is something that can kill or hurt things. Let's read that again. This little small Terribilis has enough poison to kill 20,000 mice. It probably would want to kill mice because a mouse might try to eat it. Remember, they have to protect themselves, and so that's why they might want to kill or harm another animal. Frog babies, you guessed it. We're about to read about baby frogs. All frogs, even the Terribilis, have mothers. Mother frogs lay eggs. When the eggs are ready, out pop the tadpoles. Tadpoles are baby frogs, but they don't look like frogs yet. Tadpoles have tails. They live only in water. So, what do we call a baby frog again? Good readers, go back into the text. Look for the key word, baby frogs. What would we call a baby frog? Looking for the key word. I see baby frogs, and I'm going to read this sentence. Tadpoles are baby frogs. You got it. We call baby frogs tadpoles. And I take a look at the photograph, which is a picture of Pacific tree frog tadpoles. Tadpoles grow up to be frogs. Here, they're showing us a life cycle diagram, which is showing us how they grow. So I start with step 1. At first, they breathe underwater with gills. The next step, number 2, they grow lungs for breathing air. Number 3, they grow legs for hopping and swimming. And number 4, in 3 months, they lose their tail. It's time to hop out of the water. Our sidebar says gills. The body parts on the sides of a fish or tadpole, which it breathes. So here, at first, they breathe underwater with gills. It tells us they're talking about the body part that helps them breathe underwater. Toads are frogs too. What's the difference between a toad and frog? And there is a comparison done on both pages. Remember, when we compare, we look at things that are the same. And when we contrast, we look at what is different. So let's see some things that are different about frogs and frogs and toads. Some frogs are poisonous. They are moist and smooth. They have long, powerful jumping legs. Most frogs have webbed hind feet. Eggs are laid in clusters or groups. Their teeth is in their upper jaw. So what's different about toads? Their eyes do not bulge out from the body. A poison gland is located behind each eye, which is different from a frog. A toad has no teeth, whereas frogs do have teeth. Their skin is dry and bumpy, which is different from the frog. Toads have shorter legs, and their eggs are laid in long chains. But a few toads give birth to live young. Oh, I didn't read the page. Let's go back. Toads are a type of frog. Frogs spend most of their lives around water. Toads spend more time on dry land. Their bodies are built for where they live. So that's another difference that the author wants us to know between frogs and toads. Toads spend more time on dry land. Frogs spend more time around water. And here are some books about super frogs. And I take a look at all the interesting covers. Lastly, the author includes a glossary. A glossary is usually in the back of the book, and it's where we go to find definitions. Here you'll see all of the words that we've already read the definitions to in the sidebars, again found in the glossary, giving us the definition for croak, gills, habitat, and poison. Can you think of one new thing you learned about frogs? I learned that some frogs can be as small as an inch. I also learned that some frogs are poisonous. Can you think of some things that you learned and maybe write about it in your book review? Or you can email your teacher in your comments something that you learned about frogs from this reading. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye bye.